She's like, Brown, you don't even audition no more. You don't know what it's like. And I'm like, hey man, I've been there. So don't try to front on your boy like I'm disconnected from the people. I'm still a man of the folks. It was 2006, so like 19 years ago, something like that. Gordon Walker, right?
Yes.
That's my guy. You know when people know you from Supernatural, they're like, yo, you're my dude. I had a blast. Jensen and Jared are two of my favorite people on this planet. Incredibly kind, warm. They make you welcome on that set because it's hard nights. There's a lot of like nights in the days because you're shooting a lot at nighttime, you know, and trying to maximize the sun being gone. But it was so much fun. And I'm telling you, like the rabid following of the Supernatural fans. I did one convention. In one convention, I'd had several women ask me to bite them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you get weird stuff that happens, but weird born out of like a complete and total adoration for the product that they put out into the world. So it was dope. And I think if I had not wound up booking Army Wives as a series regular, I probably would have recurred on that show for a little bit longer. As fate will have it, your boy had to get beheaded. I don't think I thought about anything other than wanting to pay the bills by acting. The first 15 years or so of my career, I was blessed to do exactly that, pay the bills just doing this acting thing. Then the OJ came along, and then the trajectory of it shifted in a very delightful and surprising way. To be able to have some sort of choice in the projects that you want to be a part of, to have people want to be in business with you, like who are asking you what kind of projects you want to do, rather than just, you know, taking crumbs from the table of joy and being happy with what you get. It is an incredible privilege. And I live in a house with a woman who I'm married to, who reminds me all the time. She's like, Brown, you don't even audition no more. You don't know what it's like. And I'm like, hey man, I've been there. So don't try to front on your boy like I'm disconnected from the people. I'm still a man of the folks. Well, I would say that Randall and his perfectionism are something that I probably dealt with before I met Randall. Because I used to think that there was such thing as like being perfect. You know, you're a high achieving sort of individual, fortunate enough to go to Stanford University and go to NYU for acting or what have you. And so I hold myself to a pretty high standard in general. But I think I've learned a certain level of grace in the midst of those high standards, and that one does not counteract the other. I think, you know, in order to have the desire to achieve at a level that I wish to, you also have to have a level of grace that if you fall short of the mark, that it's okay. You get a chance to pick yourself up and do it again. Because if you don't have that level of grace, anything that doesn't measure up to your own standards could be debilitating. Yeah. I beat myself up from time to time. Don't get me wrong, but the amount of time in which I do it has shortened. Become less and less, and I'm able to get to the other side of it much more quickly. So I'll say that that's a good lesson from the show. This is an interesting sort of thing. I remember season 5 of This Is Us, which we got delayed because it was in the middle of the pandemic and George Floyd's murder. And when we finally came back to the show, you know, I was having these conversations with Dan. It's like, are we going to address the world at large? Are we going to act as if This Is Us takes place in an alternative reality? He's like, I think we have to talk about it. Like, I think we're in a unique position to talk about it in a way in which people can relate to it, right? And there was this really wonderful conversation between Kate and Randall about Kate feeling sad and being sorry about what's happening in the world with George Floyd, and that must be so hard for you, Randall. And Randall sort of telling him, like, this is not the first time a black man has died at the hands of law enforcement. And like, why are we talking about it right now? And normally I would hug you, and I would tell you that you did all the right things. I would try to make it all okay for you. But if I did that, Kate, if I made things better for you, then where does that leave me? I'm sorry, but I can't do that. That has been my pattern all my life, and honestly, Kate, it is exhausting. It sort of emphasized, and this was a very polarizing coming back to the show, because on social media, I can remember there were some people who were so thankful for that episode. And some people are like, if I want to watch the news, I'll turn on the news. I came to this show to get away from all that. And I was like, hey, if and when you want to come back, we're here for you. If you need to take a break, that's okay too. To each his own. I ain't trying to tell you how to live your life, but we're gonna tell this story. And what was sort of beautiful about it is that you got a chance to see two people, black and white, who love each other, who have very different perspectives on what was happening in the world, have a very difficult conversation, but not have it, right? And I think we've gone to a place sometimes where difficult conversations we think are things that need to be avoided rather than to be engaged in with love. That's something that I actively remind myself of, because I am not impervious to the idea of people thinking differently than me, feeling like the enemy. And I'm trying real hard to get over that. Oh man, there's cameras running and stuff. What was it like? So I have to start with this sort of preamble. Paradise in no way is a reflection of the world in which we live. It is a work of fiction. Any similarities to characters that you see in real life are just by chance. That being said, people are necessarily gonna draw their own conclusions as to who is so-and-so supposed to be in the real world, right? You wind up creating a work of fiction and then life happens and you realize, oh, it's not as fictional as we thought that it was going to be. Whether you're talking about that situation, whether you're talking about natural disasters and their impact on the world in which we live, right? Like some of these things are so dangerously close to home that it may affect the way in which the audience says it, and necessarily so, and be like, how close are we to this? I'll be out of town for a couple of weeks right before Valentine's Day, so it means she'll be excited to see me. Which is nice. It's nice when she likes to see me. Yeah, we'll go out, we'll have a nice dinner. Hopefully I'll get a chance to get a babysitter so the kids are taken care of and we can have an adult evening out. There are no secrets to longevity. Everybody talks about communication, and communication is important. Learning how to fight fair. Learning how to speak responsively and not reactively to one another. In the midst of things, feelings can run high. If you need to take a moment to yourself so you can speak coherently to your partner in a way in which you don't regret anything that you say, take that deep breath and come back when you're ready. Don't allow yourself to just react, right? We've grown so much through the years. I mean, and Ryan would agree, we used to have some fights that were just awful. Absolutely terrible. Like, I'm so happy with the evolution of our relationship and our ability to express ourselves, our needs, our desires, our wants without offending the other person. We've come a long way. And honestly, like, I think about it, like, I did not know if we would get to this place at certain points in time in the relationship. I'm very thankful that I have my partner in life to go through everything that I have with her. I love her very much. He's a teenage boy. So I think teenage boys, I don't know if they're different than girls. I have nothing to compare to except for This Is Us. But I'll say this, he's very close to the vest, is my oldest son. So I want to give him his privacy and his autonomy, but I need to let him know that, like, your dad cares about every facet of your life, right? So if and when you want to share with me, you can share whatever you want with your boy, right? He's a great student. I mean, the kid makes straight A's. He's a great athlete. He plays soccer like nobody's business. And he's a great friend, right? The people that he's close to, he is ride or die. So I'd have no real horror stories to report with regards to raising a teenager, other than I just want him to talk to me more. Yeah. That's it. There's been all kinds of community. We've been talking to each other, to Milo, to Mandy, you know, and especially because I see Mandy all the time. We've been doing the podcast together, me, her, and Chris Sullivan. It's so heartbreaking, bro. You know, she just had her third baby, her baby girl, and then she loses her home. Her husband's family in the Palisades, they lose their home. So, like, she's really just sort of like starting over and figuring out what to do next. And so you just make yourself available in whatever way you can. Like, we've talked a couple of times since it's all went down, but you give her a space too, because it is such a devastating thing to sort of figure out your way through. And she's just taking it one day at a time.